One of the most confusing things that can happen in a long-term relationship is this. You still love your partner, you still care about them deeply, and yet your desire for physical intimacy doesn't feel the way it once did. You may even wonder, what happened to me? What happened to us? But a change in desire does not automatically mean that love or attraction has disappeared. We're going to cover 4 key areas in this video. Why desire feels different at first, what affects desire over time, why it can become harder to access, and how to create the conditions for desire now. Early in a relationship, desire often seems to happen almost by itself. You're curious about each other. You notice more. You anticipate what might happen next. A glance can feel charged, and a touch can create anticipation before anything else happens.
But over time, desire can change. Not necessarily because you love each other less, but because desire itself may begin to work differently. First, let's look at the difference between spontaneous and responsive desire.
Some desire is spontaneous. The feeling appears seemingly out of nowhere before anything has really happened to create it. You suddenly feel attracted. You want closeness. You find yourself thinking about your partner. Desire seems to arrive first. But desire can also be responsive. Sometimes desire develops after emotional connection, affectionate touch, playful interaction, physical closeness, or simply becoming present with your partner.
That distinction matters because many couples unconsciously use spontaneous desire as the standard. They think, if I really wanted my partner, I would already feel desire. But if desire has become more responsive over the years, waiting for a powerful feeling to arrive before allowing closeness may mean waiting for something that doesn't always work that way anymore. And this does not mean you should force yourself into physical intimacy when you don't want it. Responsive desire is not pressured desire. Healthy intimacy still requires willingness. The point is simply that desire doesn't always have to be fully present before two people begin connecting.
Think about the difference. In one situation, someone thinks, I'm not feeling desire, so I guess I'm not interested. In another, two people create some emotional and physical space for connection without expectation or pressure and discover that interest begins to emerge. Now let's look at what can either make room for desire or quietly get in its way. Desire doesn't happen in a vacuum. If every attempt at physical connection happens at the end of an exhausting day, after a long list of responsibilities, with one partner already thinking about tomorrow, desire has a lot to compete with.
That doesn't mean you need to manufacture a romantic evening every time you want intimacy. It means that privacy, time, comfort, affection, anticipation, emotional connection, and freedom from pressure can all influence whether desire has room to emerge. There's another change that happens over time. You may still love your partner, but you don't necessarily notice them in the same way. Their humor, their confidence, their playfulness, the way they move through the world, all the things that once naturally captured your attention can become easier to overlook.
And familiarity can narrow attention, not because your partner has become less interesting, but because you already know so much about them that you stop looking with the same curiosity. There's also the problem of emotional roles. It can be difficult to move directly from managing the grocery list, solving problems, handling finances, or taking care of everyone else into a state of playful physical connection. Sometimes the issue isn't attraction. The relationship has simply left too little room for anything except responsibility. And then there are the passion inhibitors that couples often overlook. Physical discomfort, feeling rushed, lack of privacy, feeling self-conscious, unresolved tension, a bedroom more associated with sleep, work, or worry than play. Even small environmental or behavioral factors can quietly tell the body this isn't the right moment.
We've actually created a free resource that goes deeper into this. It's called Hidden Passion Inhibitors Explained, and it explores the kinds of behavioral, emotional, and environmental factors that can quietly interfere with intimacy and desire. If you'd like to take a closer look at those, you'll find the link next to this video. But sometimes desire becomes difficult for another reason. It has a history.
If physical intimacy has repeatedly become associated with rejection, disappointment, criticism, conflict, obligation, or pressure, those experiences don't simply disappear because the couple decides they want things to improve. The emotional memory of those experiences can influence what happens the next time intimacy is possible. This is one reason pressure can be so counterproductive. When one partner becomes anxious about the lack of intimacy, they may pursue it more intensely. The other partner feels that pressure and becomes even less receptive. The first partner experiences that as rejection and increases the pressure again. Suddenly, both people are responding to the pattern rather than to each other.
A more useful question isn't how do we get you to want intimacy again? It's what helps you feel open, comfortable, interested, and connected. And the answer won't be identical for every person or every couple. One person may need emotional closeness, another may need more time and privacy, someone else may need affection without any expectation that it will lead somewhere. The important thing is discovering what actually creates readiness for the two of you. That's why talking about intimacy matters. Not just how often you're having it, but what helps each of you actually want it. So, what to do with all of this? Start by changing the question. If your desire has changed over the years, don't immediately turn that change into a verdict about your relationship. Desire isn't a fixed trait that either exists or disappears. It is influenced by how you experience yourself, your partner, your relationship, and the circumstances surrounding intimacy.
You don't necessarily have to recreate the desire you had 20 years ago. The goal can be to discover what desire looks like for the two of you now. That may mean creating more anticipation. It may mean changing patterns that quietly inhibit intimacy. It may mean talking openly about what each of you wants and doesn't want. And sometimes it may simply mean giving desire permission to develop instead of demanding that it arrive on schedule.
Instead of asking, who is at fault, become curious about the conditions surrounding desire. What has changed? What has disappeared? What creates openness? What creates pressure? And what might make intimacy feel inviting again? Because sometimes the spark hasn't disappeared nearly as completely as it seems. Sometimes it has simply become harder to reach because the relationship, the circumstances, and the way the two of you approach intimacy have changed. And when couples understand that, they have something much more useful than blame. They have possibilities.
If this conversation resonated with you, watch our next video, Why Couples Slowly Stop Flirting with Each Other. We'll look at what happens when flirting gradually disappears from a long-term relationship and why bringing it back can matter. If you want more thoughtful, practical guidance about emotional and physical intimacy in long-term relationships, follow or subscribe to Reigniting Passion and join us for the next conversation. And if you found this discussion useful, please like this video so other people can find it too.